Hi everyone. My name is Lukasz Lamparski, and I will be presenting today about vibe reverse engineering. And what it is, you will learn soon if you don't know yet. First, a little bit about me. Probably most here maybe already know me. I don't know. I presented before on Not the Hidden Wiki, so I guess some of you might know me already, but just briefly, I'm in IT since 2013, so it's been a while. In cyber since 2017, I was mostly doing digital forensics and incident response before, but currently I'm doing threat intelligence as a senior threat analyst in Google Threat Intelligence Group, and what we're doing is mostly what we call frontline threat intelligence, so delivering threat intel to incident response teams. So I didn't leave incident response field completely, and cyber threat attribution. And recently, I'm also involved with some automations of our workflows, mostly with AI and LLMs, because that's the big thing today. And during my career, even though I wasn't really like a typical reverse engineer, I was doing a lot of malware analysis and reverse engineering. So nowadays, what I'm doing is trying to take both of these things and like merge them together. So trying to use LLMs and AI to speed up the analysis. So that's something I will be talking about today. And yeah, you have some of my socials. The website probably not working. I'm still struggling to find time to put it back up. Yeah, I'm doing triathlon running and all the stuff after work. And this is the agenda. So I will be talking about what it even is, the vibe, so-called vibe reverse engineering. What do you need for it? What is MCP? How to put it together. I will be doing a live demo. Hope it goes well. I have a recording in case of some live demo shenanigans as always, but I hope it will go smoothly. I tested it a few times. Yeah, so what is the vibe reverse engineering? So what is vibe? So the term vibe, as per vibe coding, it was popularized by Andrei Karpathy. He's like a kind of big name in the AI space, and he mentioned it when referring to like coding by using LLMs to generate your code and basically letting LLMs do everything for you. And in this sense, it was like vibe because you just follow vibes instead of like doing the actual work. You just vibing, and then like LLM is doing most of the work. So in this sense, vibe reverse engineering would be kind of the same, only not for coding but for actual reverse engineering. So letting the AI do the work for you, giving the AI access to the compiler and in some cases maybe debugger as well. Put it in the agent mode. What is the agent mode? I will talk in a moment. And then give it a correct prompt, wait for a bit, and maybe have some profit, maybe no. The title is a little bit clickbait actually, because I'm gonna talk about vibe reversing, but I'm also gonna talk about how to use AI in the more controlled manner, where you don't let the AI do everything and just pray for the best result. So what do you need actually? So you need an agentic AI or LLM model, like all of the state-of-the-art models nowadays can do reverse engineering, like a Gemini, Cloud, Sonnet, or Optus. OpenAI, GPT, of course, now GPT-5. Although don't use I don't use the OpenAI models too much, but I heard they are not so bad. And to be honest, you can do it also with local models. I won't show you how to do it with local models today because my main computer with the GPU is in the service. But anyway, we wouldn't probably have time, but maybe I will make another session one day about local models. But you can do it with local models as well, but it won't be quite good, but it's also like can allow you to avoid bypass some limitations that the state-of-the-art models have, like API quotas and stuff like that. So yeah, it also might be a good idea. You need the MCP server and the MCP client. What is MCP? We will talk in just a second. And you need, of course, some reversing tools. So you need IDA, Ghidra, or I don't know, is there MCP for binary ninja? Probably there is, but I didn't check. You need some isolated environment just in case. It's everything we will do today. It's actually static. The MCP server I will be using, it has some dynamic capabilities, but to be honest, I didn't use them too much. It will be all static reversing, so it shouldn't cause any damage on your system. But because of like chaotic nature of LLMs, I always prefer to do it in the isolated environment because, I mean, it's never happened to me before, but I could imagine LLM going crazy and saying like, yeah, let's just run this ransomware and see what happens. I mean, you never know. It should technically ask you for it shouldn't execute the file without like asking for permission, but yeah, you never know with LLMs, so better safe than sorry. You need a good prompt and you need some luck because LLMs are not deterministic. So one time you will receive a great report, the other time you will receive nothing or just some hallucinations. So I was talking about agentic AI, and this is not a presentation about AI itself, so I will be brief. If there's an interest, I can actually make one day maybe another presentation about like generally using AIs for like other types of automation, or just talk about AI a little bit more. But I'm also not an expert in the AI theory, like all the foundations, but anyway, yeah, just briefly, like how we know the AI or like LLMs is how most people know them, at least probably, is like those all those chatbots, right? Like the ChatGPT was the first. Now you have like Gemini and everything, and you can just talk to them and they will like answer and give you some more or less interesting information. But this is not really how we use AI nowadays in automation and development and tools. So especially this year in 2025, the LLMs they grew beyond like being just a chatbot. I mean, it started way earlier, but like especially the 2025 is a big year on agentic AIs, and so the agentic AIs are the AI where the LLM is just the agent in the middle. and it can use many tools. Like it has some memory. It will use tools, and the tools will be likely provided by MCP, and these tools will they will interact with the environment. Like in our case, it would be IDA, Ghidra, or whatever, but it can be anything really. Like it can be an operating system, it can be a SQL database, it can be other like knowledge base at your work, etc. And the way the agentic AI is working is like it's doing some reasoning, like a chain of thought, let's call it, and then it will create some kind of plan for itself. Then it will execute this plan, and then it will check if the execution is correct or not, and then will go back to reasoning it. So this is so-called like reasoning loop, and it will go over and over doing these steps. And from time to time, it will actually ask the user, okay, I want to do this action. Is it allowed or not? So not all the actions will be done automatically. This is really depends on how the agent is configured. And in real agentic systems, this will be there will be like a lot of agents which will be having different like system prompts usually, and they might not even have user prompts. They will be like they will have a different roles. Like one agent will be for orchestration, the other agent will be for, I don't know, communication and interpreting data from database. The other agent will be for something else, and you will have a lot of these agents, but this is like beyond the scope of this presentation. Generally speaking, in this case, we will likely just have a one agent that will do the reversing for us. Although, to be honest, in background, there are probably more, but it's not exposed to the end user. So I'm talking a lot about MCP, but what the MCP actually is, I won't give you like official definition. Like it's model context protocol. It's a protocol that it tries to standardize the communication between the LLM and the tools. But what is important is like LLM is just a text generator, really. Like it's really just a text generator. It generates text well, but that's it. And it can interpret text, of course, very well, but it cannot really like interact with anything. So we need tools. We need to give him tools. And nowadays LLMs are capable of using tools, but like different tools have different inputs, outputs. Like you want to communicate with SQL database, the LLM would need to know how to access database, etc. You want to, I don't know, like use Ghidra, they would need to know how to use AI, etc. They would need to have tools to be integrated into APIs or into AI, into UI. So initially, like I think like 1 year ago, 2 years ago, where this trend of adding tools to LLM started. Like everyone was programming their own tools, and it was completely not standardized, and it was like super mess. So that's why people come up with this model context protocol, which is standardizing this. But the important part of it is like it gives LLM tools to actually interact with their environment. And it grounds the LLM knowledge as well. So it doesn't only have to rely on its training data. It can actually like ask the tool to provide him some real data. So like the easiest example is like in the past you had these LLMs that basically had some knowledge that they were trained on, and based on this knowledge they can give you some answer. This answer was sometimes good, sometimes not so great, sometimes they were completely wrong and hallucinations. It still happens, of course, but like from recently, like since some time, we had this. All of these major LLMs actually can use search. So search is just one of the tools that is exposed to the LLM. And instead of like saying based on my training data, I can say like this, they would just do the search in Google and then interpret the results and then say, okay, based on my search, I can say this, and this. So it's like knowledge grounding. It's like makes them hallucinate less, I guess. They still do hallucinate. It enables on-demand deterministic results. So LLMs are undeterministic. So like one of example of this is like LLMs are not great at mathematics. Probably everyone saw these examples where like you ask some specific question like which number is smaller, and it will choose the wrong one because it basically relies on its training data, and it will just predict the answer and not actually calculate the answer. And the answer is undeterministic, so it can be different. Like if you run it 10 times, you can get 10 different answers in some cases. And in this case, it will just, I don't know, run the tool like a Python or whatever, and it will get the result, and the result will be every time the same. So this is what we call like deterministic results. So the example of MCP flow will be like very, very simplified. It's more complex, but like very simplified example of the MCP flow will be like users say, okay, analyze this malware for me. LLM will say, okay, so I need to so he tries to like think. Of course, they don't really think, but it like simulates thinking, let's say, and it will say like, okay, so in order to do this, I need to decompile the code of the malware. So they would check like what MCP they have access to. So this is configured in the configuration, and okay, so he can see like he got the IDA MCP, and it has some tool for the compilation. So they can use it. So they like call the tool and they execute the tool, and then the MCP itself, they execute the tool. They will actually communicate with IDA, and they run the plugin that runs inside the IDA. They will just call the code for the compilation. It will return the results to the decompiled code to the LLM, and then LLM can see the decompiled code and then analyze it and return the results to the user, and user will be happy, hopefully. So what are the tools that we can use to do that? There are many actually, but I just listed a few of them. The one I will be using is Gemini CLI. There's also free version of Claude, but don't confuse it with Claude Code, which is like similar to Gemini CLI, only like you have to pay for it, like the minimum. I think there's like subscription of like $20 a month, but the one that is actually lets you do something, it's costs $100 a month, so it's quite expensive. You can use any MCP clients, like there are MCP clients like Klein, Ruko, Cursor, etc. There's so many of them. The issue is like you need to use an API, and I will show you later why it's not a great idea to use API unless you have access to some like free API keys or whatever. So what you can do with it? So like, of course, you can go like full vibe reverse engineering mode, when you will just say to the LLM, okay, reverse engineer this entire malware and hopefully get some good result. I will show like when it's a good idea, when it's not a good idea, what are limitations here. It's not like it will reverse engineer any malware now, it's at least for now, and it's not gonna replace reverse engineers, at least for now, in my opinion. So it can really boost the people who know what they are doing, but it won't be doing like their job for them, at least for now. but it can be really great assistant for reverse engineering. So like I said, for people who know what they are doing, it's a really great boost. And it can answer some specific questions for you. It can speed up your analysis. You can try solving some CTF challenges with it. It's also nice challenge for yourself to like learn the technology and to see what it can do. Depending on what you want to do, you have to have like good prompts. So there's like entire books about prompt engineering. I think at least the state-of-the-art models, they're becoming better and better in inferring what the user want to do. So they're guessing what the user wants to do. So the prompt engineering, maybe it's not that important as it was before, but still in the agentic world, when you want the agent to be limited to a specific task, it's still important. In our case, like the prompt is important, but not like super important. But especially if you want the LLM to do the entire like full stack vibe reverse engineering, you probably would need to very good prompt to have a chance to get a good results. If you want to use it more like an assistant, the prompt is maybe less important. So I'm not going to talk a lot about prompt engineering, but the important thing is like you have to state a clear role and the goal for the agent. You need to set up the set of rules for the agent to follow, and then preferably it's good to always give like some input-output examples, and then specify what is the desired outcome. This is like 4 golden rules, I would say. Yeah, that's it for the theoretical part, and I would try to do some demo, and just give me a second. I will swap my screen to the other window, which is this one. Thanks. So like I said, I will be using Gemini CLI. I honestly think it's the best tool you can use for now for like reverse engineering with AI, if you want to do it for free. And I don't say it only because I work at Google. I honestly like think if for the free option and to learning how to do it, it's really the best option. Maybe the one alternative would be like a free cloud client. I didn't test it too much, but I heard it's good. But I think it has like more strict quota limits, especially in the free tier that Gemini has. So this is, by the way, what it is, Gemini CI. It's basically a client for your console that will give you like LLM capabilities inside the console. So you can do much more with this than just reverse engineering. You can actually code with it. You can administer your servers, although I wouldn't probably recommend doing it in production or with the LLM. But you can give it all the like tasks, like I don't know, deploy me this application, or like I don't know, like configure me this like Nginx server or whatever. It has access to your console. It has some limits, which I will show you maybe later, but it can do a lot of things. But we will use it for reverse engineering. And in the free tier, it will give you 60 requests and 1,000 requests a day for the Gemini 2.5 Pro. And if you run out of this quota, you can still use like the Flash model, which is not that good, but still can do something. So I think this is pretty decent. Like, as you will see, if you have a really big sample, you can easily run out of these requests, unfortunately. But I think it's still better than most of the competition gives for in the free tier. If you want to pay for it, I would probably suggest looking into Cloud Code or something, because the paid subscriptions, they are quite expensive. Like the $20 one doesn't give you like too good quota as well, from what I heard, but the like $100 one will give you already a lot, and you can use their like strongest model, which is like Claude Optus. Yeah, for Gemini, if you want to pay for it, it costs like $30, and it will give you, instead of 1,000 requests, it will give you like 1,500 requests, which is not that much greater from the free model. So I would say for free, it's great. If you want to pay for it, if you want to pay, it's maybe not that great, honestly. But yeah, hopefully they will change something here, give you some more powerful options like OpenAI and like Anthropic does, like this $100 which are super expensive, by the way, but subscriptions. But according to they are still like, I mean, they are not making money on it, according to them. Anyway, it doesn't matter. So basically, I will use that, but there are many alternatives if you want to use something else. There are also, there's actually what's called Gemini Code Assist. You can use it in VS Code, and you can use it in IntelliJ as well, I think. And then it's just an extension. It's basically very similar to Gemini CLI. It actually will use the same quotas and everything. It's like shared. It will even use the same settings, etc. So if you configure the MCP, it will work both for the Code Assist and the Gemini CLI. So it's really up to you which one you want to use. I find the console version like a little bit better and more approachable, but you can use both of them. Honestly, they are like interchangeable. And there are some like you can use like RuCode or something. But the problem with this MCP clients, like third-party clients, is that you always have to use your API keys, which I will show you later. It can become pretty expensive pretty fast if you're doing something like agenting stuff, like reverse engineering, coding, or whatever. It will do tons of API calls, and it will cost you a lot of money. So I wouldn't probably recommend it unless you have a, like, I don't know, company API key or something that you don't have to really pay for from your own pocket. So yeah, let's go to the console. So actually, how do you install this stuff? It's pretty simple. I have it already installed, but you basically do npm install and this packet, and there are some configuration steps that you don't really have to do, but that you can configure a lot of stuff actually. But yeah, I won't be going through all of this. It's like after you install it, it's basically ready to go. Yeah, you can. There's a lot of documentation here. If you go to the docs, it's Google Gemini CLI. You can read it by yourself. And the other stuff we will use is the IDA Pro MCP server. So I will use IDA, which is not free, I know, but this is what I'm using. I didn't use the Ghidra one, to be honest. So, but there is a Ghidra one. There is a Ghidra MCP, and I heard it's also pretty good. So you can use this as well. But to be honest, I didn't test it. I'm using the IDA one from Mr. Exodia, who is a great guy. And yeah, if you can support him. So it has all of these functionalities that I won't read through all of them, but it can like list functions, list globals. It can, that's most important, probably decompile and disassemble functions, etc. So it will expose all of these tools to the LLM. So LLM can decide to use this tool for doing their job. There are some unsafe ones which I honestly didn't test for debugging. That's something I wanted to test, but I didn't yet. And the installation is pretty simple. You can install it via pip install, and then you have to run IDA Pro MCP install. And if you use like Rucode or Cursor or something, this will install everything for you. It will install the IDA plugin, etc. Unfortunately, for Google CL, for Gemini CLI, this is not like supported out of the box, so you will have to configure it yourself. But it's really simple. You need to basically like copy paste the stuff. So if you go, so Gemini has like this .gemini folder, and inside this folder there is a setting JSON. So I already have this IDA Pro MCP installed, and I think it has like config option. So yeah, it will basically give you a config that you can just copy paste to the settings. If you see, I already have it in settings. I think the only thing I had to do is like remove this disabled false. Maybe it will even work with this, but basically just copy paste it here and it should work. And then the way you run it is pretty simple. You just type Gemini and you have this like pretty ASCII console. So actually, the first time you run it, it will ask you to authorize, and you have three options basically. You can log in with Google account, and you don't have to add any credit cards. You don't have to do anything. Like for free tier, you just need a Gmail account, like a standard Google account. That's all, and you can use the free tier. So that's the best thing about it, I think. You can use Gemini API key as well, but like I say, you actually, if you create a Google Cloud account and it's a new account, if you create a new project, you will get like 300 American dollars, I think, for 3 months to use. So this is good. If you are within this first 3 months and you have this $300 to spend, you could use the API key as well. But outside of that, if you are spending your own money, I wouldn't really recommend it unless you have a lot of money and nothing to do with it. And there's like Vertex AI, which I won't go into today, but it's like more for the enterprises and stuff. So I'm actually using API key now for this demo because I ran out of my quota when testing stuff. But normally I would recommend to use login with Google. It's a new day, so maybe my quota is reset, but I won't test it on the live demo. Let's just stick to the API for now. And then you can see like what are the MCP servers installed. So in this case, I have only one on this machine, and it's the IDA Pro MCP, and it has 48 tools. You can even do like a MCP this description, then it will tell you which tool is doing what. You can read all of this. You can also read it in documentation, to be honest. And this tool has basically like two modes. The standard mode is the chat mode. So you can basically chat it like with normal chat. I don't really want to use my API for chatting, but yeah, you can say how are you or whatever. It should reply. They're using Gemini 2.5 Pro for like chatting. It's not really money efficient, I would say. But the other one is like if you put the exclamation mark, it will actually put you into the share mode, and then you can just run the standard Linux commands. There are some quirks there. I'm not gonna dive into this, but like for example, if you change directory, it will probably even tell you this. It's like yeah, share mode is stateless. The directory change will not persist. So if I change directory and if I do current directory, I'm still in the same directory. So there are some quirks, but you can run the commands. But generally, I would probably recommend running commands in the second window just from the Linux console, and then like focus on interacting with LLM here. So okay, how we can analyze our malware then? So first of all, let's open IDA because I don't have IDA open currently. Let me just open IDA. I will open this this malware. This malware is like it's like pretty small, let's say, backdoor. It's actually a backdoor used by Chinese threat actor that we described in our blog earlier this year. It's a passive backdoor used to run on Juniper routers. It's a pretty interesting one, but I chose it because it's like pretty simple and it's not so big, and it's quite simple to analyze by LLM. So the malware itself is not that important. I more want to show how the entire analysis flow works here. So for now, I did analyze this malware before, but this is like a clear instance. I just open IDA. It's just done the automatic analysis. I didn't touch it before here. And first thing we need to do is we need to run this MCP plugin. Otherwise, we won't be able to connect to IDA. So now it says server started and localhost 13337. That doesn't matter, but you have to start the server first. Otherwise, it won't be able to connect. It will tell you this, and it will actually tell you need to start the plugin if you don't do this. But just remember to do it. And now you can interact with IDA through this LLM. So I can ask him, what file do I have open in IDA Pro? And hopefully it will tell us. So one more thing. So like I said, there is this, if you remember from the chart, there is this like user in the loop. So it will actually ask you if he is allowed to execute this tool. So initially in the config, we don't stated any like allowed tools. So you can choose like allow once, then it will ask every time, like always allow only this tool or always allow all tools from this server, or you don't allow it. One thing that is different between Gemini CLI and other like MCP clients is that like normally if you always allow, it will like add it to the config and then you don't need to do it again. For Gemini, it's like per session. So if I always allow and then quit the session, it will ask me again, which is a little bit annoying. But you can of course reconfigure. You can add it to the configuration by itself and describe in the documentation. Just you have to do it manually, or you can actually try to ask Google Gemini CLI to do it from the console. It's just you just need to open it in the same folder because otherwise it won't have access. But yeah, for now we will just always allow only this tool. I could just click always allow all tools, but it will be faster. But I wanna like show you and show you what tools it is using. So for now I will only allow this specific tool, which is like get metadata. So it tries to get metadata about this file, and you can see it returns some metadata. So this is what was returned from the tool itself. And then this is the answer from LLM. So it says, okay, so my question was what file I have open, or you have like this file open. Yeah, great. So at least we know it works. There is a connection to the MCP, so everything works for now. So we can do something more. We can do something more serious, let's say. So one of the things we always want to do, we often want to do when analyzing malware. I could ask him to list all the functions, for example, but it would take some time and it won't be so useful if there are 1,400 functions in this file, even though I said it's a small backdoor, but it's still like a lot of functions. But what we can do is like try to identify the main function. So can you try to identify the main function? And so it tries to execute this tool get function by name, and it tries to look for the function that's called main. So it actually got an error because I think there is no such function. So no function found with this name. So the good thing about like agentic AIs is like if it runs into an error, it will just take a step back and rethink its strategy and try differently. So now it tries to like go to the entry points and start from the entry points. So it tried to run the tool get entry points. I will allow him to do that. And it got like 3 entry points. One is start, one is term proc, one is init proc. And so now it analyzed it and it tries to decompile the function at this address, which is the start function as we can see here. So yeah, let's always allow the compile function because it will use it a lot. So this is the compilation that was returned by the MCP, by the plugin, and so I don't know. So like I said, the LLMs are not deterministic. So I was actually testing it before, and it didn't have much issues to find the main function. Now it says like this function doesn't call main. So it's actually done something earlier. So it says the start function doesn't call main directly. It calls some other function, and it tried to decompile this function. And it says this sub function doesn't call main either. It looks like this binary might be packed or obfuscated, which is not true. And the function, but it says it doesn't call the main function, and then says this function appears to be main function. So it's kind of weird, but seems it found the main function. So it tries to rename it to main now. So I will allow him to rename it. So it renamed this function to main. So the good thing about this is like everything it is doing, it will be directly reflected in our IDA. So we can now search for the main function, which wasn't there before, by the way. I didn't show this. And we can see, like, yeah, he found this function, and he claims this is a main function. Because I analyzed this malware before, I can actually tell you this is correct. This is the main function of the malware. So even though it's like got some weird steps and it said like there is no main function and the malware is obfuscated, but in the end it found main function, which is good, I guess. So this is like working with LLM. Sometimes you just need to take a step back. Sometimes you need to restart the entire session because the context is safe, but only within a session, not between the sessions. So sometimes it will like get itself into this rabbit hole where it cannot come out with, even with your help. Then you need to just restart the session. But in this case, found the main function, so we will just continue from here. So I can ask him, can you try? No, sorry, that's not the role group. So now I want him to explain me this main function. Can you explain the purpose of So let's see what it says. The funny thing is, like, if you do it multiple times, every time it's differs slightly, but more or less it's often correct, although sometimes it gets some like weird hallucinations. So you will see it will have one now. So it's trying to explain the main function. So it says there's configuration checks. They looks for this variable named ATH, which is correct. Then it checks for arguments. If the program starts with this argument, which is also correct. Yeah, it will use the fork to make itself a daemon running in the background, which is also correct. Or now it even found about these signals, which it didn't found during my testing, and then finally it will go. So more or less, this description is quite correct actually. So we could do two things now, like the way I would normally do it and the way I recommend to do it, honestly, is like we could keep asking it questions like, can you explain me these functions? And then like go from there and then try to use it more like an assistant. More like an assistant, which is, in my opinion, like more safer and better thing to do. But because of the name of this presentation is vibe reverse engineering, so we will vibe. We will try to vibe and we will ask him to do the full reversing. So actually I have this huge prompt prepared for him, which I will paste here, and actually I will use this warning to explain the prompt to you. So the prompt is like that. So first it's a declaration of the role. So you are a professional malware reverse engineer. And then the task. Your task is to reverse engineer malware in IDA Pro. You can use the MCP tools to retrieve information. And there is a bunch of ground rules. So first of all, I don't want him to reverse engineer every single function because there's, like I said, 1,400 functions in there. It will use up my entire quota, and it would probably like use the entire million token context, and it would never finish after 20 hours. So I don't want him to reverse all the functions. So I want him to start with the entry point and the follow control flow from there. That's usually like the I will paste the prompt. Don't worry. So yeah, this is like the usual, like the best strategy, and it won't always correct. So you can adjust prompt to the sample, but in this case, like I want him to start with entry point and then follow the control flow. Focus on suspicious malware and malicious activities. Do not reverse engineer legitimate code. This part not always works because he doesn't always know what is legitimate and what not. But yeah, we can include it anyway. And then inspect of the compilation and add comments with your findings, rename variables, change the variable and argument types if necessary. Part of it I actually took from the original prompt, example of the prompt that was on GitHub for this MCP. Change the function names and preface all the function with the names with vibe, so I know which functions he actually touched. And therefore, each function add a comment at the start. This is pretty useful. Yeah, disassemble function if more details are necessary. This is also important. This I also took from the original prompt, but it asks him to never convert numbers by himself. There is a special tool in this MCP tool to convert numbers. Like I said, LLMs are awful in mathematics, so they need to use tools. They shouldn't do conversions by themselves because they keep getting it wrong. And the one thing I added is like for this malware, it doesn't actually matter, but sometimes there are some malwares that have like symbols or some functions are not have names preserved in the code, so I don't want them to be renamed. So I only want him to rename like unnamed functions starting with sub. And there is a desired outcome, which is a report MD file with the findings. And I want him to focus on malware capabilities, roles, and possible indicator of compromise. So let's run this prompt and see what happens. So even though this malware is not like huge, it will take a bit probably. So now it tries to list all the functions, which probably is not the best strategy, but okay, I will allow this. It would probably take some time because there's a lot of functions. Like, so this is the fun part, is like every time he's doing it a different way, but arrives into like usually similar conclusions. So now it's decompiling some functions I see already. And then like, yeah, it's putting some comments. So yeah, it even found some commands that I think it didn't found last time I done it. So it's interesting. Yeah, it says like this kills the service, which is also good. Last time it started hallucinating something about like Syn DDoS, Syn TCP DDoS and stuff like that, which was complete hallucination. But then after I asked him to like look closer, it actually corrected itself. So this is also good. Like if you feel something is not right, just ask him for more details or clarification, and sometimes he will say like, okay, sorry, I was wrong, and actually this is incorrect. So that's also good. So now it tries to set a comment like this about this function, basically what it said here. So I will allow him to set the comment. And then it tries to rename some local variables, which is great. Allow him to do that as well. So it's renaming some more variables, which will be useful for us if we want to like pick up when he left. There is some error, whatever. A typo in the address happens. He got another error, so like, sure, you can do that. It's actually doing much more stuff than the last time I tested it on this code. So like, sometimes it will just finish after like 1 minute, and sometimes it will actually dive deep into this malware. Sometimes he can get into rabbit hole and like never come out of it. So yeah, it's always like playing with these undeterministic agents is like you need to retry sometimes if it doesn't work. That's all. But like I said, like totally vibe reversing, it's fun, but I don't think it's like super useful for most cases because many samples are just too big for him to do everything by himself. But to use it as an assistant during the reversing, in my opinion, it's quite good. So it's still decompiling some functions. It's discovering the XOR encryption, the ICMP sniffing, all of this like juicy stuff, which is nice. And it finished, I guess, because it tries to write a report. So it asked me to allow him to write into the file. Yeah, it creates this report. We can actually open the file, or we can just read the report here. So just briefly, I won't read all of it. If you want, I can copy paste it for you. But yeah, this is a backdoor that uses ICMP packets for C2 communication. It has reverse share file transfer and local service capabilities. I'm not sure what is local service capabilities, but okay. Tomorrow is written in C and designed to run on Linux system. Kinda, it was designed to run on FreeBSD, but let's say it's like flavor of Unix, everything. The malware does not have any, that's correct, I think. It uses ICMP packets, that's also correct, although, yeah, it says like the malware sniffs ICMP packets, which is correct, and looks for this magic value in the packet, which is also correct. And it decrypts with XOR cipher with this key, which is also correct. So it found pretty interesting stuff. It found this, which it didn't found last time. So the C2 commands. I'm not sure about 2 not being fully implemented. I don't remember, honestly. We would need to double check, but I think the 2 are correct. So this is also interesting. Yeah, it found that it can do a reverse share, which can download file, upload file, and execute commands, which is also correct. I think there was some proxy, or maybe this was not this malware, or maybe 4 is actually not implemented. There was some stuff like this in this malware. I don't remember exactly, but more or less his findings are correct. He found the port that it listens on. Yeah, these are the steps taken. And the good thing, like I said, is like you can go to back to IDA, and you can see all the functions it looked at. So it found the packet sniffer function, and you can see like the ICMP magic bytes. It renamed some functions, which is also great because you can already see this like C2 IP string, C2 port, stuff like that. Yeah, there is a decryption function that it found. It adds these comments for you. So it really can speed up the analysis. Yeah, you don't have to do like full reverse engineering unless you want to try. It's fun, but yeah, it really can speed you up honestly, and then you can like follow up with this, and then like he actually found all of the stuff that I wanted to ask him about, but yeah, let's ask him. Can you tell me more about the ICMP meeting and how it works? It gives like this lengthy explanation, which is also great. To be honest, like my main use case is like I can see some big chunk of code in IDA. I don't have any idea what this code does. I would just ask LLM, okay, can you explain me this function? And then he does his thing, and then like 1 minute later, I have an explanation. It might be correct, it might be wrong sometimes, but if you have an experience in reverse engineering, at least you can like see what he's described. Is it actually matching the code or no? But it will give you some intuition. And you will start renaming some variables for you, etc. So the looking at the code will be much easier. So yeah, it explained quite well, like how this works. I'm not gonna read all of it, but it seems it's like, yeah, understood it quite well. So yeah, that's basically how it works. I had another sample which was like Quilin agenda sample, but this one I wanted to show you like how the big samples are not so great for LLMs, because this one is I will close it for now. This one is like a huge sample, ransomware, written in Rust. So I asked him to do the vibe reversing of this, and I will only show you the result because it took like half an hour or more. I ran out of my free quota on this, and then I had to use the API key. So it takes like forever, but it did finish actually, because for some other malwares I had it happened to me that it's like I was running once for like 3 hours or 4 hours, and it never finished because it go into this rabbit hole of like reversing all the possible functions, which was completely stupid, and then it burned like $50 or something, even though I changed to Flash in the middle. Otherwise it would burn like $200 probably. So yeah, that's why I don't recommend using your own private APIs. We can actually, yeah, so this is the Quilin sample that I asked him to analyze. Yeah, like I said, we are, yeah, anyway, our time is running short, and it takes forever, but yeah, it also produced some nice report, but the issue was the amount of time it took, and the report wasn't that great, to be honest. It's a Rust sample as well, so it's honestly, in my opinion, the LLMs are best at analyzing C. Like Rust and Go, it can help you, but it's not that great. Yeah, so I guess I will wrap up the live demo here and go back to my slides. So I need to change the window. And yeah, so we saw how it works. So what are the issues? So this is one of the issues. If you're using free account, honestly, even if you use the paid account, you will see this quite often. Like you reach your daily limit, especially if you are reversing a big samples. And then you have two options basically. You can either change to API key, or you can continue with Flash model, which is honestly not that bad. Like the Pro model is, of course, much better at tasks like reversing, but for like some basic stuff, Flash is still okay. And I think Flash is unlimited. I'm not sure, but I think Flash is generally unlimited. So you can use Flash as much as you want, but for Pro, unfortunately there's those limits. If you're using API, yeah, like this is what I said. Like I ran the samples, and honestly, when it reached $10, I changed it to Flash, which is a huge difference because the price per API call, it really depends. It depends on the context as well. Like if the context is almost full, like 1 million tokens, the one call to Pro model, it costs like $2 for one core, and it makes like enormous amount of calls. So when it reached $10, I changed it to Flash, and it's still like burned like $43. So I was running this like $300 free tier, so I wasn't that concerned, but it was still like I probably not gonna do it if I have to pay for it myself. That's why the free version is quite nice. You will still run into the quotas, unfortunately, but yeah, that's how every provider is nowadays. Like, even if I know people who are like paying $200 a month for the like maximum plan for Cloud Code, and they will still run into like quota limits. Depends what you do and how much stuff you do. So, and the $200 a month is kind of expensive, but given that you will probably burn tokens for like, I don't know, $10,000 sometimes, it's probably still worth it for these people. Context is a kind of limitation, although like Gemini is a famously model with the biggest context window on the market currently, 1 million. But if you have a big malware, you can still run out. This was a few months ago. Nowadays, it's like much better at caching. So I don't have this screenshot right now, I think, but when I was doing this Rust code, this agenda ransomware code reversing, it's like cached like 30 million tokens or something. So like caching is working really nice quite now, but still, if it's a big malware and it's doing like full vibe reversing, it can run out of context at some point. So that's also an issue. Yeah, if you use it, you will see this context falling quite fast. So what are the conclusions? So, like I said, there are some limitations, but it can be very useful in my opinion. Yeah, what we saw was not obfuscated code. So if you run it on the very obfuscated code, it of course won't be really that helpful. So you should still probably like have the ability to deobfuscate the code first and then do the LLM. You can use LLM to help with the obfuscation to some point, but you have to be very specific, like what you want him to do, because if you just ask him to obfuscate this for me, I found it often leads to hallucinations. Like LLMs are really great into providing you what you want, but it's not necessarily always true. So like, especially for obfuscated code, it's like, yeah, this is the obfuscated code. Oh, great. It looks like super clean and everything. Only it's completely made up. And then you have to do all the obfuscation by yourself to verify it anyway. So yeah, it works better on the obfuscated code, but if you know what you are doing, it can be helpful for the obfuscation as well, for sure. Yeah, like I said, the C code is the easiest, but yeah, sorry, I will go to questions very soon. C code is the easiest, but yeah, Rust and Go, it's best to like pre-process them with some plugins to like demonger strings and do all this stuff. Then it will be more helpful. And I wouldn't recommend doing like full reversing, like full vibe reversing for these two, because these binaries are they include the runtime environment. They're huge, so it's easy to like burn bazillion of tokens basically. Yeah, like I said, full reversing can be expensive, especially if you are using API keys. So in my opinion, at the current state of LLMs, it's better to use it as a like assistant than doing like full vibe reverse engineering. But you can try this as well. It's fun. And yeah, if you want to, that's basically it. But if you want to like expand your knowledge on AIs generally and LLMs, there are some materials. Of course, our favorite, Not the Hidden Wiki, have an entire category about AI. I also try to like put some materials on my GitHub, so you can find here if you scan this QR code. It's more about the AI and LLMs in general. It's not about like vibe reversing per se, because there are honestly not so many materials about this in the internet. So that's one of the reasons I also did this presentation, because I feel like not so many people are talking about this right now. But so these materials are more about AIs and LLMs. If you are interested in this topic, there are some like nice courses on Google for Developers website. Again, more like broadly about LLMs and machine learning, not necessarily the reverse engineering with it. And again, if you want to just like expand your knowledge about LLMs themselves, I recommend these two books. I'm actually finishing reading this right now, and it's pretty interesting. But it's more about like how LLMs work and all of this stuff. Yeah, and that's it. If you have any questions, I'm happy to answer.